Hello, everybody. It is Rebecca Robbins from Mindshaper SLP, and I am talking to you today to tell you all about Buddy Group. Enrollment is officially open for my fall semester of Buddy Group. It is the last time this year that you can get into the program, and this by far is one of my most sought after programs. I have lots of families that are a part of it and continue to be a part of it. I'm very blessed semester after semester, and the program just keeps growing and expanding each time I open enrollment. And I'm very excited to tell you all that enrollment is open again. And I just wanted to come on and tell you a little bit about what exactly Buddy Group is and some of the changes that we're making this semester that are very exciting. So I'm going to just go ahead and start with the changes because this semester, so since the pandemic, I was running this purely as an in-person offering in the Hudson Valley, New York, for the most part from 2018 when I started the program up until the pandemic started. And then when the pandemic started, I of course switched everything over to virtual, and we've been virtual ever since. And during that time, I also moved to Pennsylvania. So it worked out well to do everything virtually. But now with things starting to open up more again and my family's wanting an in-person offering, I have found a way to be able to offer in-person classes again in New York. So in Goshen, New York at the CoLab building is where the classes will be held. And if you are local to that area, then you can certainly sign up for one of my in-person classes. I have hired a wonderful SLP who I will be training and supervising to running those classes there. And I will continue to host virtual classes. So we have opportunity and more space for people to join. And the virtual classes, because I am dually licensed in New York and Pennsylvania, are available for residents of New York and Pennsylvania. It doesn't matter where you live in the state. If you are a resident of New York or a resident of Pennsylvania, you can take advantage of this program. That is one of the benefits of virtual classes, right? Geography doesn't need to be a hindrance. So wherever you live in the state, you can participate in these classes, and then I will be leading those virtual classes. So let me just go ahead and tell you a little bit about what the Buddy Group program consists of. So it really is a weekly class. We run it by semesters, and it's a weekly class that provides the students an opportunity to socialize with their peers, as well as learn some conversational skills from a licensed speech language pathologist, such as myself or Jennifer Wazatsky, who will be running our in-person classes. So we have a lot of fun in Buddy Group. I make sure that I keep everything as interactive and game-based as possible, because when the individuals, the kids, I don't want to say kids because I have classes for the 17 to 25-year-old age group too, and so they're young adults. But even the young adults, they like to be learning in a more interactive, competitive sort of game-based environment as well. And there's so much valuable socialization that can come out of facilitating these interactive games for my students. So I usually, hi, Sensational Learning with Penguin, thanks for joining. So I always start with a interactive game for any of the class. And I have 3 levels of classes. I have my group runs for kids ages 8 all the way up to young adults age 25. I have a level 1 class, and the level 1 class is available for all ages. And this level class is really for individuals that need a high level of conversational support. So they're more at the question and answer stage of a conversation where they can initiate a question or they can answer a question, and maybe they'll continue the exchange for another turn or two. But for the most part, they need a high level of support to maintain a conversation beyond past just that question and answer phase. A's. So that's the level 1 program. It's available for all ages. And for that class, I start with interactive games that are more appropriate for their level of learning. So we focus more on games that really require them to attend and listen to what their friends are saying in order to take their turn. Because what I find for that level class, the biggest challenge for them is their ability to to maintain their attention to a conversation and to understand that their job in the conversation is not finished when they're a listener. And it is important to be an active listener in the conversation. So we do some interactive games that require them to listen and respond, to make requests of other individuals, to initiate requests, to initiate clarification from their friends. And then I have my level 2 class, which is available for ages 8 through 16. And these, my students in that class are more conversational. They are chattier, they can maintain a conversation, but they have more challenges about maintaining the topic of a conversation or wanting to talk about a wide array of topics for conversations. They might tend to have their go-to topics that they like to talk about and don't really like to deviate from those topics. So we talk about how we talk to our friends about shared interest, and we talk about things that our friends are interested in or what we're both interested in. So it really helps the kids in that class learn how to expand their ability to talk about a wider array of topics. And so the games that we play in that type of as a warm up for that class are definitely interactive. And some valuable skills they get from this game is I make them negotiate with each other as to who gets to go first, or even they negotiate with each other as to what game they have to play. So I will teach them things to rock, paper, scissors. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 5. So they have some tools in their tool bag to learn to know how to navigate a situation with a peer where they both want the same thing in a way that they both leaving feeling good. And that's one of my favorite things to watch is when I say, okay, it looks like 2 people want to be first. You guys go ahead and figure it out and let me know what you decide. And I kind of sit back and let them figure it out. And it's really cool to watch that. So that's a valuable skill that comes from the games that we get to play. But we do things like 2 truths and a lie. We'll play a fill in the sentence game, which is kind of like apples to apples. And they each come up with their own unique answer. And there's a judge that picks the right answer. So we do games like that, and we do similar games in my 17 to 25-year-old class as well. And this is just a great way to get the kids interacting with each other. They get to practice their social skills in a natural context, like a game, negotiate with their peers, have fun and laugh. And it kind of just gets the group going on a good note. In my in-person classes, I always did this, and we played a game called Name Catch, and we would throw the ball to each other. So I had to get a little more creative when we switched to the virtual platform. And then I would also bring in some of my theater games because I'm an actress, if you know this, may or may not know this. So I would teach the kids to play Zip, Zap, Zop. I don't know if there's any actors out there that know that game, but you have to really be paying attention and an active listener, and you have to be following where the words are going to participate in that game. So those are some of the in-person warm-up games we've done in the past as well. And then we get into the lesson of the day, and whatever that lesson is depends on what level of class I'm teaching. So the level 1 lessons are really focused on each step of the communication cycle. And usually when I run an entire semester, I spend a whole month on one topic. So that's 4 weeks that the kids get to practice just one isolated skill. And the parents get sent the materials and the carryover materials. And I provide suggestions of how to carry this over in the everyday life. And with the virtual sessions, the parents really get to be right there and hearing how I'm teaching the lessons and the words and phrases I'm using to prompt their kids. So it really makes the carryover much easier for the families. which is really where the growth occurs. Because if the kids are doing what I teach them in that 1 hour of buddy group, but they're taking it outside of that 1 hour to every day of the week, that's really when they're starting to generalize those skills. And that's when they start improving their ability to have conversations with others and to improve their socialization with others. So the level 2 class is focusing more on the higher level conversation skills, like maintaining topic, reading nonverbal communication. That's a big lesson that we work on. Becoming a conversation detective, which is reading clues that happen not just in the words that someone says, but in their eye contact, in their facial expressions, in their body language, how to shift topics, how to change a topic appropriately. That's another lesson that we learn about in the level 2 curriculum. And then in my 17 to 25-year-old class, we learn a lot of the same lessons that we learn in the level 2 curriculum, only they're adapted for an older age group. And I also will add on additional lessons, such as knowing the difference between private information and public information, internet safety. So things that will really are like life skills that keep that age group safe and to be as independent as possible in the home and the community and at work, which hopefully they are transitioning from the educational setting into a vocational setting at that point. And so I try to address those types of skills as well. And then we always wrap it up with some sort of maybe carryover activity or a game that they get to implement or use the skill they just learned in the lesson. And that pretty much is it. An hour goes by fast. And so, like I said, I keep it very interactive. I try to play a lot of games because my main thing when I'm working with these students is I want them to feel internally motivated to engage with the other participants in the group as much as possible and needing me as little as possible. So that is always my goal. With my 17 to 25-year-old group, we also do a thing called highs and lows, where they get to share their high of the week, the best thing that happened to them that week, or a low, something that happened to them that week that wasn't that great, so that they get an opportunity in a safe space to share about the things that are happening in their lives, and their peers get an opportunity to learn how to support someone in positive events and in hard events too, because it's not always easy for a young adult with social communication challenges to know how to respond to an uncomfortable situation, or what to say if a friend is going through a tough time, or even how to support when a friend is going through a good time in a way that feels good for everybody. So we do highs and lows so that they get practice with that, because those are the types of things that when they interact with each other in real life and hanging out with their friends and there's no adults around, if you think about it, when we hang out with our friends, we're sharing about the things that happen in our lives. And it's when we share with our friends and they're able to connect with us and respond to the things we share in a way that makes us feel like listened and heard and understood and connected with, that's what forms our bonds of friendship. So that's one of the reasons why I really focus on that highs and lows. We usually end our group with highs and lows in the 17 to 25-year-old class, because it's those moments, those skills of knowing how to share and receive someone's share in a way that everyone feels heard and understood, that builds bonds and connections and ultimately friendships, which is what I want for these individuals and for these kids. So enrollment is open now. You can go to bit.ly/buddygroup2021 and there's all the details you need on that page, including the dates, the price. You can schedule a no obligation call with me to get on the phone, and I will really go over the program with you, find out what your child's needs are, or your son or daughter's needs are, to figure out which class would be the best fit for you. And we can just go from there. There's also a lot of testimonials on there of current buddy group families and their experiences. Or if you'd like, you can just send me a private message. I would be more than happy to talk about it in the DMs with you. But I really do feel like an actual phone conversation is the best way to really get a good sense of the program and how the program can work for your son or daughter's needs. So again, that's bit.ly/Buddy Group 2021. I lost my train of thought there for a minute. Thanks so much for listening and staying tuned to the end. I hope to see some of you in Buddy Group, whether it's in person in Goshen or virtually with me, wherever you are in New York or PA. Come hang with us. We have a lot of fun. All right. Comment below if you have any questions or you'd like to find out more information. You can always just comment below too. And that's it for today. My voice is a little hoarse from all my birthday celebrations this week. So I am going to say goodbye. Bye.